Hey everybody, it's your soft-spoken scientist. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're learning something that confuses a lot of students the first time they see it. Domain and range. These two ideas tell us what values are allowed to go into a function, what values can come out. We'll go step by step so you guys feel confident on this. Let's get started. So let's start with the first question. What's a domain? Domain is a fancy way of just saying X. Basically, okay, it's all the X values that the function, I'm just gonna write this as function because it's simpler, fx, and that the function, all the X values that the function is allowed to use, right? So domain is what X can be. So yeah, what X can be. I promise we'll do practice problems, but you guys need to get this down locked. Some functions let X be anything, but some functions have restrictions, like you can't divide by 0, you can't take the square root of a negative number. So a domain is really just asking what X values make sense. All right. Let's talk about range, and then we'll do practice. Okay. Range, you guessed it right. It's all the Y values the function can produce. Okay. So the way, like, when it comes to range, what I want you to know is that range equals the output values. All right, it's the output values, what Y can be. Once you know what X is allowed to do, you look at the function's behavior and see what Y values come out. Let's do a practice problem right here. So we have the function f of x equals 3x minus 5. This is a linear function. There's no square roots, no denominators, no fractions. So X can be anything. You heard that right. Anything, and it's linear. So if X can be anything, and I know, oh, that's a terrible sign. Okay, there we go. So it's going to be the domain is negative infinity to infinity. Now you may be saying, the soft-spoken scientist, why didn't you do it in brackets or something like that? We can go, it could be any number from the negative trillions, quadrillions. So this is negative infinity, and then this is the sign for infinity. It could be any positive number, and it's endless. If you use a bracket when it's like, 7, it can't be more than 7 or something, or, whatever. 5 to 7, then it's limited on just those. So a line can take any Y value too, believe it or not. So the range, so this is the domain, and then the range is also negative infinity to positive infinity. Linear functions almost always have domain and range of all real numbers. All right, simple as that. Let's look at a medium level challenge one. Here we have a square root, so we must keep what's inside the square root greater than or equal to 0, because you are not allowed to have any negatives under a square root, all right? Simple as that. So we have x plus 4, it's greater than or equal to 0, right? And because we have to have a greater number than, it has to be 4, it has to be greater than 0. So I'm going to minus 4 on both sides. I get x is less than or equal to negative 4. So the domain is negative 4 because we have this symbol, and that symbol is a bracket. It's a key for bracket. All right, so negative 4 to infinity. Just, oh, nope, yeah, remember, parenthesis. Infinity and 1, infinity and 2 and beyond. Okay, now range. Inside the square root, the smallest value is 0 when x equals negative 4. So square roots can't produce negative values. So f of x is greater than or equal to 0. So the range for the y is a bracket of 0 all the way to infinity. Square root functions always start somewhere and climb upward. Okay? Negative 4 plus 4 gets you 0. That's why it's the domain for x, and then you got 0 as your y. All right. You guys are getting it. Let's do the hardest one. So we have f of x equals 1 over x minus 2. This is a rational function, and we can never, ever divide by 0. So we have to, set denominator right, cannot be equal to 0. This symbol means you cannot be equal to something. So the domain would be negative infinity. Oh, I don't want to spoil it actually. So we're gonna have x minus 2 instead of equal to 0. Not equal to 0. You add 2 on both sides, and then you're gonna see x cannot be equal to 2. So the domain would be negative infinity up to 2. And then this is just a simple kind of like as well as. Then you have 2 to infinity. These are, yep, that's what parentheses. A rational function like this can never output y equals 0. There's no way to make 1 over something equal 0. 1 divided by what will get you 0? Nothing. So that's my domain. My range would be negative infinity to 0, 0 to infinity. These create asymptotes, and it lines the graph cannot cross. That's what asymptotes means. Okay. Oh, we got one more actually. So here we have a absolute value of x minus 3. Absolute value is allowed for all x. That's a big rule you guys need to know. So for domain, it would be negative infinity to infinity. And then the range is the absolute value. Well, absolute value is never negative. So the smallest output is 0 when x equals 3. So 0 with a bracket, because we can't go any lower than that. It's set on 0 all the way up to infinity. And that's domain and range. Domains tell us what x is allowed to do, and range tells us the possible outputs or y values. If today's video helped, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really supports the channel and just the progression of STEM. And please check out some links in my bio if you're a little bit lost and you want to check out an algebra book. It's pretty good. I think you guys will like it. And always remember, STEM is for everybody, especially you. Have a good one, guys.